All right, CBS has got a kind of curious take on who has to have a big season in 2024 for Georgia to have a good year in order to keep things going. I'm going to read to you what they said and I'm going to react to it after that because I'm not sure about this one. They write quarterback Carson Beck would be an easy pick here, but he's expected to have a big impact after a stellar first season as Georgia's starter. Instead, the Bulldogs need a versatile secondary player to step up after losing do-it-all safety Javon Bullard, starting nickel Tyke Smith. And they go on to say that Jonel Aguero is the person that they're going to talk about. So Aguero, who could play safety or slot corner, is going to have an opportunity to start. Though Georgia's defense rarely falls below elite status, the Bulldogs have always been able to rely on solid back-end play. Aguero needs to fill that role in some capacity for Georgia to stay consistent. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, singling him out as the one person that really has to have a good season, I'm not sure about that. There's so many other options. Not that he's not an important person in the grand scheme of things because of the things that they laid out. But I mean, him, like, that's the guy you're going with. I mean, for me, that seems like a little bit, I mean, to call him the most important player for each top 25 team, he's your guy. No. Like, not at all. I mean, it's Carson Beck. Period. I mean, Aguero, sure, he's important, but Carson Beck's the easy pick because he is the pick. That's the person who has to play well. I mean, every other person in the top four, excuse me, two of the top four for Ohio State is Will Howard. For Oregon, it's Dylan Gabriel. Maybe you're. So this is what people do who are like trying to be too cute. I don't know who the Michigan quarterback is. That's their most important player. Period. It's not Donovan Edwards. Yeah. I mean, like the problem with these is you can always go with the quarterback, but the reality is, if Georgia is dependent on if Aguero is playing well, like, I don't know what that entails. I don't know if like they're okay in the back. They're okay in the back. You've got a lot to pick from there. You got a lot to pick from with Everett, Julian Humphrey, Everett, Starks, obviously Aguero, as we talked about. You're going to have really high level newcomers coming in. Your back is probably not a problem at all. But if Carson doesn't play well, I don't know. And the specific headline is key player for each top 25 with spring practices underway. Of course, it's characterized a different way. I don't know what they mean by key player. Key player is always the quarterback. I mean, we focus on them too much, but we're not going to focus on somebody who's, I think sometimes folks just try to get too smart with stuff. And it's like, hey man, it's just the quarterback. It's usually the quarterback. We fall in love with it. Do we do it too much? We definitely do it too much. But if it's not him, if it's not Carson Beck, then I don't think it's Aguero. I think it's, you could say, Green at left tackle. You could say Mondin or Chambliss or someone on the defensive line. I mean, a lot of things got to happen for the ball to get back to the defensive backfield. Okay? And in doing so, a lot of things have gone wrong if it's gotten to the backfield, like with the as it relates to a pass. Here he is, though, Aguero blocking a punt. That really ended that game against the Gators. That 43-20, I can assure you that game was not even close to that close. That game was an absolute blowout. But here he is blocking this punt from Florida, giving Georgia the ball there. They'd gone for it. I think Florida had gone for it on fourth down just before that and gotten scored on, but I can't remember. It was such a train wreck. Here's Aguero again. This is the Ball State game, as perhaps you can see. Here he is in the night game against Tennessee Martin. He's going to be a good player for Georgia for sure. Here he is against UAB, and then back to this Florida block kick. You see number 11 in the background there, man. Jalen Walker is around a lot. He makes a lot of plays for Georgia, but I don't see how you can leave Carson Beck off this list. I just, that's me. And it's like that. Let me see who they've got for Clemson, because if they don't have the quarterback, then that tells you right there that this is just not to be taken seriously. So they've got Clemson ranked. Yeah, they don't have the quarterback. I mean, Phil Maffa, if you don't know who that is, so there's going to be some challenges for Georgia going into this Clemson game. This is not just going to be like, oh, they're going to kill him and that's it. And they may kill him, but it's not going to be, to me, that simple. I mean, if you watch the Kentucky Clemson game, you saw what Phil Maffa can do, and he played well. He's going to have to replace Will Shipley, who was fine. I mean, he's not an SEC like first string back. So, what I mean by is all SEC. I mean, he'd probably be like fifth string on. I mean, I don't know if he would be he's not, he's not what we've seen in the recent past in the SEC of guys that you got to be worried about. Talking about Shipley. Maffa, he's a good player, real physical, but I can tell you right now, if the quarterback at Clemson is not their most important player, I don't know who is. It ain't the running back. Is not the running back. I don't know why we've got Jalen Daniels, the quarterback at Kansas, being Kansas's most important player, but we don't have Cole Kubrick at not Cole, whatever his name is, the quarterback at Clemson. No, I don't know his name. It's impossible to remember his name. And no, there's no reason to remember his name because half the time all he does is Cade Klubnik, excuse me. Cade Klubnik. Half the time he's just ad-libbing out there and losing games in overtime to Miami. So they have no business losing. For me, I don't know why we have to be so cute. The most important player is almost always the quarterback. In Georgia's case, if it's not Carson Beck, it can't be Aguero. It's just like you're just pulling that name out of a hat for him to start. He's going to be playing back there with an All-American and perhaps best defensive back in the country in Malachi Starks. Like if you're worried about the guy that's playing with that guy, I don't know. Carson Beck, Gabriel, Will Howard, quarterback at Texas whose name immediately escapes my name. Quinn Ewers, excuse me. Those guys, Jalen Milroe, Nico at Tennessee, Mutt Nussmeier. If those guys don't play well, it ain't happening for your school. It's not happening. It's just not happening. At Missouri, they've got Luther Burden. Luther Burden might be the exception. Luther Burden's the best player at Missouri. He's really good. But Brady Cook's good too. So what happens a lot of times in these situations is folks like this, no hate, by the way, they just say, well, I'm not gonna pick a quarterback for everybody. At Georgia, it's definitely, if Carson Beck doesn't play well, if he's not the key player, then I don't know what we're doing. He's clearly their most important player, the same way Stetson was the 2 years before that. You saw when the quarterback wasn't their key player in 2020 and 2019. I don't know what happened to Jake Fromm in 19, but he was not the same person and it was not good. But yeah, I mean, I'm sometimes speechless about this stuff. And now I'm just looking at all the lists. I mean, at Nussmeier at LSU, he's a really good quarterback. He's going to be a good quarterback. I don't know a lot about Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma. The quarterback at Arizona, man, the guy is the real deal, I think. But we'll see how that goes when you get out of the Pac-12 and you're going into, a conference that plays some defense. I mean, at Washington, but if you don't have the Clemson quarterback, if Klubnik doesn't play well, Clemson's going to lose by 30 to Georgia. I'm just telling you what it is. talk to Florida State. Oh, well, they didn't have all their players. Well, I mean, okay. What, then they wouldn't have lost by 40? Like, how much better would have the beating been for Florida State? Not a lot, is what I would argue. But still, um, I think like at Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon, yeah, he's their best player. Go with that person. But there's no reason to be too cute by half. I know I'm older. I know I've done this for almost a quarter century, and a lot of these folks are kind of new, or maybe they're just trying to say, I know a person besides Carson Beck on Georgia's team, and I'm a reporter. But you're wrong in this case. Your view of the world is incorrect if you think that Aguero is the guy that they gotta have. If you went with Starks, you know, I could appreciate that. I'd respect that, as my old friend Fletcher Page would say. But no, I mean, you could have gone with Williams on the D line / outside linebacker. You could go with Smile Munden. You could go with I would not. You could go with C.J. Allen. You could go with Starks. You certainly could say, hey, one of these running backs at Georgia's got to step up. You could say whoever at wide receiver. You could say, that that Rah-Rah's got to, or that Dylan Bell. I mean, I think you could make an argument that it's Dylan Bell. I would always go with Carson. You could say that, and you would never say it's Truss. You would almost never say it's Green. You would never, so some of this, we're not living in reality. And part of it is when you're saying that it's not the quarterback at Alabama and it's not the quarterback at Clemson, when both those guys have had their struggles playing at those spots recently, if you don't think that they are the, quote, key players for their teams, I mean, I can't explain it for you. You're wrong.